Hola, hola, hola. Call me Little Miss. Hit the wall, baby. You ain't never seen a wall hit like this, baby. Hola, hola, hola. Welcome to another episode of On the Block with Jen. This one is going to be interesting. This is why I love when people send us topics. This was courtesy of Brother Ishmael Muhammad. I found this subject very, very interesting because everyone's scared of AI. Well, tonight we're going to discuss how scary it's going to get. Woo! All right, let's get rid of the music right quick. From another talented brother, family member of On the Block with Jen.
We love our talented people.
POP presents. Thank you for that. All right, guys, here we are. Welcome. Beautiful panel. Welcome. Chat, hold us down. Chat, if you have any information about this particular topic, something we don't know, we don't cover, please throw it in the chat. We are open here to, you know more than we know. So welcome to another episode of On the Block with Jen. I'm your bad girl, devil's advocate, Jen. You can reach me on all social media platforms, On the Block with Jen, all across. You know the ones we use: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, although I'm not on Twitter that much. And On the Block with Jen at Gmail, if you have a topic to share with us, a suggestion, a comment, a question, or whatever. You know what I mean? Keep it business. We are all about our business here. We don't lollygag too much. We don't BS too much. So if you are going to hit me on the block with Jen, Gmail, respectfully, you know what I mean? Keep it business, family. Okay. We appreciate you, but we got a lot of, burners going, so we can't spend a lot of time on the BS, okay? Unless I give you the green light for BS, like on a Friday or Saturday. With that said, if you want to help Mama keep the church lights on, please hit my Cash App On the Block with Jen. That's if you want to be discreet. A lot of people don't like other people seeing where their money goes, unless you want me to shout out to the world that you are a sponsor. Either way, Cash App On the Block with Jen will be between you and I, okay? It is really sweet to get a Cash App when I'm not even on air, and I appreciate all of you who do it from the bottom of my widow ice block heart. If you don't care about where your money goes and who sees it, feel free to super chat, throw your comment in the super chat. We'll pull it up and dissect. With that said, what's up, Louis Kanye? Thank you for the first super chat of the evening. How are you, sir? And thank you for the information that you emailed me earlier. My team is gangsta. That's all I got to say. And I'll pass the mic by saying everybody ain't playing. So watch who you playing with. With that said, on a lighter note, lovely Lily, tell us where to find you.
Well, I am Lily, and I am of YB Limited. That's the letter Y, the letter B, the word limited. It is not spelled on the screen, but that is how it's spelled. You can find me here. Oh yeah, now it is. It's right there, right there. All right. You can find me here on YouTube as well as Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And I am a actor slash model. Started my career as a makeup artist, and those roles led me here to the block with my team.
And I am musician and music producer Heron DeMarco. You can catch me on YouTube right here at Heron.DeMarco. And you can also catch me as Dangerous DeMarco on IG. And you can also catch me as Heron DeMarco under Spotify and Apple Music if you so choose to hear more tunes from the good boy.
And I am Saint. I am no saint. I am Saint no saint. Saint no saint at YouTube, Instagram, and Threads. I am not on Twitter at this moment. And I am saving lives out here. It was a busy day.
Aww.
It's on beat.
And we welcome our guest, Dolores. Dolores, let the people know where to find you if you want to be found, because some of us don't.
I understand, but hey, I am an open book, so you can find me on all social media, Dolores Actress, or my business page, 424 Fashions. That is fashions with the Z, not the S. So make sure you check us out. We are for the culture, by the culture.
Nice. Thank you, Trevor Jackson TV. Trevor says he's at work, but he's on the block tonight with Jen. That's what I'm talking about. Let the hours go by while we talk our jazz. All right. Family, anything from your desk before we get into meat and titers?
Yes, I have something. I have something. This is coming from New York City and right out of the block. Okay. So I'm pretty sure everyone is up to speed to know that there's like an immigration situation going on. When is there not, right? So people are really kind of like the mayor. He's kind of like fed up with the feds. He's fed up with the governor, Mayor Eric Adams, my new friend. All right, but that doesn't stop me from reporting. Okay. All right. So this is the thing. This is the tea. So we got a lot of immigrants that came through, right? And what we're looking at now is currently 84,000 immigrants are here in New York City, and some have been relocated. Some are planning on staying here. The amount that's estimated that is still planning on staying here is 54,000. That's still a lot. Okay. And what Mayor Adams is saying, he's saying specifically, it is un American for immigrants to come here and not be able to work. That is a direct quote from Mayor Adams, right? So they're saying that people aren't willing to house them, willing to give them jobs or anything like that, right? So for right now, since school is out for the summer, they are considering putting the immigrants in some of the public schools here in New York until they can find further places to put them at. So what they've been doing now is kind of spending money on relocating to them to China, which is like one of the places, China, as well as Texas and Florida. He don't like Florida. Okay. He don't like Florida. So he's sending them there, and they're using, there's also this other thing that's kind of controversial. It's called a decompression strategy. I don't know if you're familiar with that, No Saint. It's a decompression strategy. Basically, and a lot of people don't know this, there is New York City and then there's New York. Two totally different things. Just like there's Miami and then there's Florida. Two totally different things, right? So what they're doing with this decompression strategy is relocating them to other parts of the city. And the other parts of the city is like we barely have jobs for the people who are here. So what are we supposed to do? We barely have housing for the people that are here. So what are you doing? Like, why are you sending them here? So it's just one big mess. On top of that, he asking for some money too. He want Joe. Now we bring Joe Biden into the chat. Okay, so somebody get Joe on the line. And let them know that Mayor Adams he needs specifically 30 million. Right, so he said he don't feel bad about asking for this 30 million because he done already spent $1 billion of New York City's money. 1 billion would it be? So this is controversial. It's a lot of mud being slung. There's a lot of people up in arms, and there are people homeless and jobless, and there's a lot going on. So that's what we're looking at here with the immigration issue.
Passing the mic.
Passing the mic.
The immigration issue has always been a very it's just a it's such
Contentious.
a yeah it's such a dog and pony show. You know what I mean? Because it's just always the hot button topic that sways elections and so on. But again, as I've said this countless times on the show, no one's getting rid of it, immigration. No one's coming down on immigrants. No one's doing that shit. These are billion-dollar Fortune 500 companies. You know what I mean? Save billions of dollars per year by hiring cheap labor. Okay, truth is, the reason why you can indulge in many of the prices that you deal with today, even though they do seem expensive, is because they didn't spend that much money on labor.
Yeah.
So,
Facts about that. Yeah, that's facts. And that's honestly why some countries are struggling right now because they don't have immigration, right? And this morning I was looking at something, I was on one of my nerd tips, right? And just for an iPhone, it has to cross 100 borders just for us to get to unbox this iPhone with the parts and everything like that. And that's due to immigration. Like the people who are working on all these little moving parts of these 100 borders, that's due to immigration. So the iPhone will be even, and not just the iPhone, I'm just using that as an example, but there's plenty of examples of things like that. And that's literally what's keeping a lot of these countries going, especially because the birth rate is down.
Yeah. That's due. I think I know what you're talking about. That's due to cheap labor for
Mm-hmm.
sure. I'm really curious to see how China reacts because China doesn't really take well to anybody from outside. So it's kind of interesting. But what people need to realize, so we do need a form of we need this labor. First of all, we need this labor. We need, and they do pay taxes. They don't pay necessarily Social Security. I'm not sure about that, but we need immigration. We need people here because of what Lili's saying. The population, the more wealthy you get, the more less children you have, the less people there to support the system. So we're good. I mean, we need that. But what I find, I really despise that these immigrants, these people coming from mostly Honduras and Venezuela, are being used as pawns in these different states. Like, it's disgusting. It's disgusting that there's governors that are sending them around like, oh, you're here now, we're going to send you to all these other states. I think that's sick. To be honest with you, I'm not sure about New York as far as, I mean, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of immigrants going to New York. There's a lot of work to be done if he's talking about jobs. I mean, I'm telling you, I don't see how California wouldn't just say, send some immigrants over here, or some of these big farming states, because I just don't know what New York's going to do about it, because I don't know what kind of labor, because the problem with labor is like right now, my alternator went out the other day. I went to a little Latino spot, right? A little bit cheaper, but not much. It's almost the same, but I like, we know them. We got our tires replaced there. I want to give support to small business. But the problem is he knows how to fix everything, but you got to get licensed to fix things here. So it's not like you can just come here and start working, so I don't know like what kind of jobs in New York they would have for them, other than the typical low wage jobs that, we see a lot of, like hotels and things like that.
Well,
Go right ahead.
I'm sorry. I echo No Saint, like the human part of it, just moving these people around. When they come here, they don't even know where they're going to be stable at. Texas didn't send people to California, and they didn't know where they was going. They was like, hop on this plane and we're going to take you. You're going to have jobs and housing, and don't worry about it. And they
Right.
get there and it's nothing. So they just kind of in this circus, and they're not even trying to be entertainers. They just in this circus of political, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do it's a mess. And it's sad because I work in the school system, and I meet children that's separated from their parents because of this. And a lot of them can't even speak English. So imagine teaching a child and they can't even speak English. And not only that, they're not even with their parents. It's a game on human lives that's really sad. That's truly sad.
Wow.
And what do we say about the people that say, take like, and not just California, lots of cities. You take California, what is it, Skid Row, the homeless population, it's like the norm. What do you say to people that are like, there's plenty of people to help here? Why are we constantly letting in, hundreds of thousands of immigrants to help when people are in Skid Row and they've been there for many, many years? It's literally a living facility. Like, they're not leaving, they're there, that's what it is. It goes on and on and on and on for miles. What do you think about that?
Corporate greed.
I was about to say, yeah.
At the end of the day. Go ahead,
Homelessness keeps people rich and in power. That's why they make sure, because if we solve the homeless problem, there's a lot of jobs that will be lost. There's a lot of money that will not be going into the pockets that they go into.
Like,
The feed the homeless. It's kind of like the some of these nonprofits. A lot of the nonprofits. Let's just put it that way, because we know how nonprofits are. They probably may start off, nice and pure with a couple of people who have a really good idea and then a good heart, a good bleeding heart. But then once you start adding on board members and things like that, you have to add on different board members. You have to have a certain criteria. Now you don't know these people. You're just trying to fill these spots. And as it grows, we already know what happens after that, right? So homelessness keeps people in power. But then immigration keeps the country going. So I always tell people the system's not broken. It's working exactly the way it was designed to work.
Well,
Woo!
what I'll say is that, and we had a guest up here recently, and I saw the I think it was a Vice episode that was showing this. So Alabama outlawed the hiring of illegal immigrants, and they were begging to change the law within, I don't know, 6 months to a year, because all the people that said you're taking American jobs or whatever, like they couldn't get anybody to work the hard labor, and then they used prisoners, and the prisoners, I mean, they weren't trying to do anything fast, right? I mean, why would you, right? I mean, you're a
Right.
prisoner.
All the time, right?
So they were trying to slack, of course, getting two, like Haran says, 2 cents on the dollar or whatever. So I haven't checked. I wonder if they changed the law back. I'm gonna assume they did, because it was really hurting the farmers. So when you say like all the people on Skid Row, those people aren't gonna do that work. Most of them, I wouldn't think.
No, because again, follow the money. You know, when you're dealing with people who are on Skid Row and so on and so forth, at the end of the day, if not for them being homeless, it'd be a person who, for lack of a better term, an average citizen. An average citizen, when they work, they have expectations, benefits, time off, blah blah blah. Shit that costs the company money. So guess what? They go get a couple of immigrants. They get a couple of fucking prisoners. Well, you have no green card. I can work you till you're dead, and no one's going to complain about you. You're a prisoner. You're a rapist. You're whatever. I can take every right away from you. And this is one of the reasons why their healthcare is so incredible, is because they have to breed them and keep them pumping like horses. They have to keep them healthy. They have to make sure that they are healthy so they can go there and they can actually work. You know what I mean, for Microsoft, work for all these people, because guess what? If they had shitty healthcare, they die. These people become investments of the government. So they keep them, nice and healthy. And one more thing before, I pass the mic on this. This is another option, is the reason why, now we're getting in robotics. It's like, fuck it. That's not going to cost us much of anything. We got a robot doing this shit now. You know what I mean? So I guess that's a particular segue, ironically, into what we're talking about today. But I'll pass the mic.
Yeah. So when you say everything you described, are you saying it's like slavery light?
It is.
Yes.
Keeping them
Slavery
fed,
is legal.
you're breeding
Slavery is
them.
legal.
Yes.
Slavery is legal.
Privatized prisons are plantations, modern day plantations, under the guise of rehabilitation centers for prisoners. That's the rules.
They don't even do that, guys, anymore. It's just, we're going to lock them away because they're bad people. End of story. Nothing to question. And in addition to that, in Georgia, where you're at, Dolores, those prisoners get nothing for their hard time labor. Nothing. Not a dime, not a commute for this sentence or anything. It is actual legal slavery. And when I say they work to the bone, the Bush Acts, out there with the water moccasins and everything, like it in the South Georgia heat, like this is slavery. Slavery is legal.
Well, it's in the I'm sorry. It's in the 13th Amendment. It's in the 13th Amendment that you're free unless you're convicted into a crime. So I mean, it's in writing about slavery just still being legal. It's just that little if you're a crime, then now you technically a slave. You know what I'm saying? But if we go back to, I think what Jen was saying earlier, and it was just on my head when you said we had issues here with homeless, and we need to solve that first. We would have to first solve the mental issues that we have. Because a lot of homeless people is mental issues, and they're choosing to be out there because of mental issues. So it's just like and again, profitable for the corporation. So it's a in the cycle that we're just on this wheel. We're just on this non-soccer wheel, just one day at a time.
It seems to me like politics, they have certain key points that they argue every 4 years, every 2 years, or whatever. You need to have the argument about women's bodies. That's a must. You need to have the argument about sexual orientation. That's a must. You need to have the immigrants. That's a must. You need to have the homeless. That's a must. And it's just like
police shootings.
Police shootings. And it's just like a cycle, like a hamster wheel, where the rich stay rich or get richer, and everybody else is just participating. I want to go back to something you said, Lily, because you were talking about them trying to basically pack these prisons. But what about the states now that are saying they're not even arresting people for violent crimes. They're not holding them anymore.
I
Have you
don't
guys
even
heard
know.
of that?
I
Well, I
have.
mean, because
I have.
they're overpacked. Look at Atlanta; they had so many prisoners, and it came in. It was like, oh my god, how are people even living here? Like they had to shut it down. They're overpacked because it's about filling beds consistently. You don't want an empty bed. You just want those beds that keep rolling and rolling and rolling until you got people on top of people. And as we know, people get arrested all the time for things they didn't even do. So
Well, here's the problem. Poverty is continuing to increase. So when poverty increases, guess what? People get hungry, people
crime.
get desperate,
Mm-hmm.
commit crimes. So if you got a whole bunch of people committing crimes and the goddamn prisons are already fucking full, now we have an infrastructure problem. Now we have to spend money on building a fucking prison or building more prisons or building a bigger suite or whatever. So they just probably said,
That's
well,
bigger sweet.
just let them go.
Who gets the big sweet, hurrah? Who gets the big sweet?
I guess. I don't know. Who has the most cigarettes? I don't know. But
Right.
the point of the matter is that this sounds. I have to study it more. But this sounds like an infrastructure problem that they don't want the money in.
Well, all of it, if you think about it, everything you've talked about, they've cut and gutted. They gutted mental health. They gutted trying to rehabilitate and just use prisons as a storage now. And so now you have people that go to prison that if they do get out, they're no better off than they went in. So they're gonna, a lot of the times people will go back into the life of crime. And then nobody wants to pay taxes for anything. It's like they think they're, while everything else goes up, and then the teachers want to raise, and the police want to raise, the fire department wants to raise. They need, but nobody wants to pay for it. It's hilarious to me. It really is funny. But yeah, it's funny that you say that. All those things come back to people trying to save money.
Well, teachers need a raise because now they have to get into boxing classes. So if a teacher has to learn how to box, pay them extra.
And I'm not trying to really talk into the school system because I work in the school system. But baby, and we're not even talking about teachers. Think about the administrative staff. Oh my God. When I say I know individuals that's growner than us and can't afford their own place, like they paid them pennies on top of pennies, but we're responsible for the future. But you're paying them. I'm not even going to go there. That's a different subject for another day.
At one time, now I don't know anymore because there's so many degrees out there now that you can't make a living on. But at one time, like a degree in teaching, you were like the lowest paid degree, basically. Like a college degree, you were supposed to make a living. I'm talking, I'm going back decades now, but they were not making. I mean, you could go work on an oil rig and make more. It's crazy.
I mean, we didn't go talk about the teacher shortage. It's like, again, this is another subject for another day. But my job is responsible for bringing in subs. And baby, teachers, it's real. It is real. I say eventually our kids will have to learn from AI.
I said that in one episode.
There's not enough teachers. It's not enough pay because they're teaching kids that learn everything from the internet. It's taking a phone from a teenager, and I work with 6, 7, and 8 graders, and I love them. Those are my tribe. I love these kids. I get them. But you have teachers in communities they don't understand. Again, you have in my area is a lot of immigrants. So our school is brown. They call it the trenches, but I love it. And they a lot of kids can't speak English. I had a student in my health class that he spoke Arabic. No English. And I'm like, how do I teach this child? And he was like, you have to figure it out. Okay. And that's where we at. And again, this is a whole nother subject for a whole nother day. Because I go for hours about our system.
Yeah, I listened to a podcast.
Put that down, Lily, because we need that. We need a topic.
I've been wanting to do this topic because I listened to and I sent it to a few people. When they called me back, they was like, "You've got to be kidding me!" I had no idea. And like Dolores said, that is just a tip of the 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 iceberg of what's going on in the school system with the shortages and just so many things. So yeah, I'm gonna put that down because it's a really good topic.
I'm just thinking of the crazy scenario. Like, You got this robot in the goddamn classroom, and some kid is being a problem, and some kid probably tries to throw a donut at the goddamn robot. The robot tases the motherfucker or some shit like that. Like something comes out of the stomach and tases the motherfucker, and the kid passes out.
You know what? They just gonna unplug them. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna be like, oh, they got to charge at night.
That's a very strange. That's a very strange topic, because if they were to attack that robot or any kind of AI, wouldn't that be on the grounds of you trying to damage school property?
Oh, of course it is. It's just another way. When I say it's a system that's
your
set
kid
up,
can go to jail. So
pretty much, because a lot of times, only thing they need. I mean, I've broken up fights, and it's always, did anybody touch you? And I'm like, no. Are you sure? And I'm like, yeah. Like, it's, and then you got CROs, and I love our CRO. The kids love them, and I think that's great. But it's not like that in every school. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I really just say it's a system preparing them for a system that's already out there when they get adults. And I'm not going to, I hope y'all realize what I'm saying when I say that.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like and I think COVID was a test when it was behind these computers, which a lot of kids fell way behind, especially the ones who could not speak English. And it's hard for these teachers, because a lot of them, 90% of them really love it. And the other 10 is just burnt out.
90%?
They are burnt out. Yeah, 90% really loves it. Really, yeah. I mean, I really goes hard, like loves what they do. But 10%,
but there's so many roadblocks.
Yes, and then
like
you are burnt out. And the new teachers, bless their heart.
If they don't straighten it out, the kids are gonna be stuck with a bunch of BBL teachers who want to post on Instagram that they're teachers with their ass to the camera. That's where we're headed.
Hey, if it makes them pay attention in class, at this point, I'd be like, look, if we could get them here and get them paying attention, and whatever works. I was definitely a different teacher. I did not teach because I'm not traditionally a teacher. I went in there because I'm retired. I had nothing to do, and I said, let me sub. And I went in there while being a full-time sub and then getting a full-time job. But it was crazy because I didn't teach from the computer. I really did everything hands-on, games, interaction, and the students loved me. Like, it's just like, hey, Miss Sally, all day long. They loved me because of that, because it was more personable. But everything now is computer. Go online, do this assignment. Go in here and do this, and it's like.
And let me ask you something. Welcome, Louis Kanye, to the block. Good to see you, sir. I want to ask you, Dolores, before we pass the mic to Louis, because I'm curious what he has to say about this topic. But I'm just curious, how do you teach an Arabic boy anything if you don't speak Arabic and he doesn't speak English? I'm really, really curious as to how that's even possible. It sounds impossible unless you speak the language. How do you deal with that?
Google Translate and PowerPoint Translate. PowerPoint Translate has over like 80 something different translations that you can use. So he had to teach me that because I did not know. So once he taught me that, it just changed the game. So I even use it when I taught summer school, and I wasn't actually teaching. I was taking on kids that was kind of more difficult to teach, but 90% of them spoke Spanish, and I don't speak Spanish. So guess what? Google Translate, here we go. And it works. You got to find a way to make it work.
Bless your heart. Atheist, bless your heart. An atheist, bless your heart. So now, can you say good morning in Arabic? I'm just curious.
No. I just said Google Translate.
I mean, that shit done helped me out a few times.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And it might have to help me out this weekend because I'll be in Paris and I know no French. So,
Ron, why are you hiring call girls that don't speak English, dude?
Yeah, exactly. Tell us. We are. I forgot we were live. Okay.
Welcome, Louis Kanye. What say you about this topic?
Hey, what's up, everybody? I think AI is going to affect people that did not go to school for.
Oh, we just jumping right into the topic?
I guess we jumping in, but before we jump in, I do want to play a video really quickly. I want to play a video so you can see exactly what the topic is about. Thank you for sharing, by the way, Dolores. We definitely have to dedicate a night to just education and the pipeline. Dun, dun,
No
dun.
problem.
Ooh.
I may not have a job in August, but it's okay. I'll find another one.
Oh, no. Oh,
That's even
never
more of a
mind.
reason to come on here and complain or throw darts. Even more of a reason.
Let me tell you, they done had me up here. I was like, look, I'm about to run for council so I could shut this down. That's how mad I was with the system. Like it, yeah.
I can imagine.
Mhm.
Okay, so tonight's topic is AI enabling racism and sexism. And when I got this at my desk, I was like, even the AI? Okay, so let's listen to this quick. This is a couple seconds long. Let's listen to this. We'll hear what this gentleman has to say, and then we'll dissect, and then we'll pass the mic to Louis Cunha.
Let's watch.
Let's watch.
Roll that beautiful bean footage.
That commercial is so old. Every time you say it, I'm like, I can see the beans in my head, and when they panned the camera, I can see it. I can see it. All right, guys.
Actually a pretty big problem when it comes to AI, and something we need to make sure gets talked about and fixed. A recent study at Johns Hopkins University used an undisclosed popular AI to program a robot and then asked it a number of questions. The robot preferred men over women, white people over people of color, and so on and so forth. Now, it's not because any of this is true, it's because the AI's program is pulling from biased data sets. Another example is the story of Robert McDaniel, who, despite having no record of violence, was flagged by the Chicago Police Department's predictive policing AI tool, saying he was more than 99.9% likely to be involved in a shooting than the rest of the Chicago population. Because of this, he was added to the CPD's heat list and was placed under overt surveillance. Since being added to the heat list, McDaniels has been shot twice. Another study from 2019 discovered a clinical algorithm that a lot of hospitals were using to decide which patients needed care, found black patients had to be a lot sicker than white patients to receive the same care. As AI becomes more prominent in our lives and we work towards becoming a more inclusive society, fixing this is most definitely a priority.
Wow, who'd have thunk it? Who'd have thunk it? That's why you ain't get the right medicine, because you lit.
Well, don't I've seen nurses come straight out and admit to that being the issue. They don't see women of color, especially black women, to experience pain like other women. So they are less likely to get pain medicine. So that's been proven, because the first people, when people said it, they were like, "Oh, you're just reaching and saying that everything is racist." And then it took, white ice is colder, took white nurses and doctors to come out and say, "Nope, it's a real thing. I've seen it. And I don't want to say it's something that they were taught, but I think it was covertly taught in school." Yeah.
Louis
It
Cunha, what
is.
say you?
Oh, with the AI
Yes.
rating part, I mean, you got to go to who did the programming of the actual AI. I mean, you got many different AIs, but it's a tool, but it's going to go off of the data and everything that whoever put in it in the algorithm. So at the end of the day, it goes to the source. What group of people are, the majority of the people that specialize in this techno field? It's mostly white, East Asian, and Asian. So I mean, it is what it is.
So we need more POC
But
in tech.
but Haran, you can correct me on this, but is it grabbing from just what's already on the internet, or is it actually somebody programming it? Like I don't know, but I find it. I don't think someone's sitting there programming it saying, "Well, white people are better than black people." Is it just stuff it's grabbing off the internet?
Well, I doubt if that AI, whatever they're speaking to, actually say, "Yeah, crackers are better." Like, I'm doubted if it actually says
Right.
like that. You know what I mean? I'm sure that's some hyperbole thrown in there for the sake of YouTube. But in reality, look, if you're in a room full of mostly predominantly white engineers and they're building the neural network for a particular piece of machinery or some software, yeah, they're not going to tend to think about other races, think about themselves. They're going to think, because they, in their minds, they're just moving from a space of bias. We all move from that space of bias. Now, yes, there need to be more black people in the room in order for these under, you know what I mean, for these things to change. Look, when I'm gonna talk you guys through just cliff notes of how software is developed. Excuse me, is developed. You don't just go to your fucking computer and just type up some shit. Okay, there is a meeting. There is a meeting and a discussion amongst project managers, software engineers, and so on. And they talk about the goals. They talk about what they're trying to do, how they're trying to do this. Okay, what's the best way to do that? What kind of technology are we going to use to make that happen? Blah blah blah. There's so many things so many steps that the team goes through before we actually go into the production of the product. Now, if there's mostly white people in the room making most of the decisions, then the product is going to be, I guess, and we can say biased because it's made by only a particular group of people. So for instance, the particular software programming that goes into the optics or the neural network that controls the lens of whatever the machine is whatever's being operated. Yes, it's not going to understand and see dark tones and so on and so forth. Why? Because it wasn't programmed for that. You know what I mean? It wasn't programmed for that shit. So yeah, that when that camera saw you, yeah, it thought you looked like every other black person because it hasn't been, you know what I mean? Because different shades of black noses and different sizes, heads, and so on and so forth have not been fed into the computer. This computer doesn't think on its own. You know what I mean? It's ran by a particular set of people. So again, I'm going to pass the mic on this. I'm going to share some stats later. So again, there need to be more black faces in the room, and I'm going to explain from my perspective and based on the stats why there aren't.
Oh wow.
Well, I would definitely believe that it would be weird for us to think that it wouldn't have anything to do with racism or sexism because it's just embedded into us. Lila, you said that it's doctors and nurses who say, oh yeah, we treat, that's back from slavery. And it's not even just black people, you know what I'm saying? It was to women as well, because when they, sterilized the Jews, they didn't give them any medicine. That was like woken live, And I experienced it. I experienced someone telling me I wasn't having the pain that I was having giving birth. And I was like, well, lady, let me knock you out and you wake up and tell me something different. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't tell me what I don't feel. But I was literally not dilating. And as soon as they gave me epidural, I had my son 45 minutes later. I mean, I could have just died, but it was just like, you're not in pain.
I had the same experiences, Dolores, to the point where when I was giving birth, my daughter's father got into a shouting match with my doctor. Like my daughter's father was up to here because the doctor was being so abrasive and such an asshole. And my daughter's father just snapped. And I'm like, what is going on? And I'm like, I was the same thing. I wasn't dilating. So, I was having trouble, and then we did the epidural or what have you, but it is true and it happens. And there are a couple documentaries out. You know what I mean? There's one called La Operación in Puerto Rico. They went over there and sterilized thousands of women, and they were telling women it was birth control. And it was not. They were sterilizing them. So in Africa too. So this has been happening for a very, very long time. So when you have, the babies of that system and those people creating AI, what do you think is going to happen? Right?
Racism is in the DNA of this country. So if people think it's just, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just
not even the country, humanity. It's just
really
everywhere. I'm in Atlanta. I had a situation. I had a gas station today, and I decided to mind my business and just keep pumping my gas. But this individual decided that he wanted to irk me off of what he was saying to someone else. So he decided to get in his car and stop blowing the horn. I said, see, I'm not her. I'm by a gas tank. Don't do me today. It was just like you was really trying to, and it was like for no reason. It was so weird. And I'm like, man, those people act that way because the lady gave him a RIP 20 and they wouldn't take it. And he's like, those people act that way. They always have an attitude. And I'm standing in line like, you're going to mind your business because this ain't got nothing to do with you. I go pump my gas. He comes behind me, stop blowing his horn. Sir, I'm by a gas tank. Not today. It's and then robots is not going to change that. It's just not. It is definitely not. It's sad, but it's not.
Because they learn
But
I have an article here, pro Pakistani. It says China is using AI to provide instant justice. In China, many legal matters are in the hands of artificial intelligence. Although it streamlines the process for small claims and misdemeanors, there are concerns about automating complicated cases. China continues to pour massive resources into developing artificial intelligence that will have a greater reach into everyday life and functions of the state. Now, even China courts are using AI to assist with making legal decisions. A court in the city of Hangzhou, located south of Shanghai, started employing AI in 2019. The judge's assistant program called Zhaozi 3.0, or Little Wisdom, first assisted in a trial of 10 people who had failed to repay bank loans. Previously, it would have taken 10 separate trials to settle the issue, but with Zhaozi 3.0, all the cases were resolved in one hearing with one judge, and a decision was available in just 30 minutes. At first, Zhaozi 3.0 took over repetitive tasks such as announcing court procedures during hearings. Now, the technology is used to record testimony with voice recognition, analyze case materials, and verify information from databases in real time. And I'll stop there because the article's longer, but I'll pause there. And what do you guys think about that?
So you're being sentenced by something with no soul and no emotions. Okay, that's all I got to say.
In that regard, I mean, I'm not totally on board with AI being in the courtroom, period. But for the menial tasks, I see the practicality for it right now. However, to be clear, right now, we don't have the quantum computing power for it to be a full-out fucking cybernetic lawyer coming in there and represent right now. Okay, you know, that would require a degree. That would require a degree of technology we don't really have right now. Right now, I say this to say, so that we're clear, a computer is not smarter than a human being. A computer processes information quicker than a human being. It is not smarter than a human being. A human being, the reason why a human being is smarter is because a human being's brain is bigger and its ability to understand nuance and handle, certain complex situations and see the gray area in certain matters. That is one of the things that AI is not necessarily capable of. You can only see things in a binary manner right now. Now, the day that AI is able to do that, well, then that's a particularly different discussion. And I don't know how many years we have until that happens. It just didn't happen today. It might happen tomorrow. I don't know. But anyway,
China's ready.
But that's what makes it more scary, because they don't know the nuances. And that's, to me, that's why I said no soul and no emotion, right?
Well, yeah, well, the thing is, the Chinese government doesn't have any emotions either.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. You're not doing much better.
Believe me,
it's racist.
No, that's a fact.
Facts.
No, that's an observation. That's an observation.
Yeah, it is an observation.
That's an observation.
But what's really what I found interesting, I just saw what Jen was mentioning in the article. I had just seen a whole video on it where they arrest people that owe money. It's not like you don't have to pay it back. There's people going to jail for owing $2,500 and they're out of work. I mean, it's not really funny. I'm laughing because it's just so absurd. But that's what I'm saying. Like, that government, there is no nuance there. You do what they say or you go to jail. So in this sense, the computer, the AI might be there. It might be okay there in that country.
So in the article I read, it seems like it's little, traffic accident stuff like this. However, Zhao Baogang Intelligent Sentencing Prediction System, another legal AI platform, is also used by judges and prosecutors in criminal law. The system is able to suggest penalties based on big data analysis of case information and prior judgments from similar cases. So these robots are like guilty, and you'd be like, wait a minute, I didn't do, wait a minute, and then the Terminators come out to get your ass.
Did you recognize the right Snipes.
this in China?
I'm not Wesley Snipes.
China.
I paid my taxes.
You know, they do.
Hey, Jen.
They kind of do that here now with AI with insurance companies. So you ever been in an accident? Insurance company like, well, I have to put all these numbers in the computer, and then the computer is going to tell me what I should give you. So it's already kind of in practice now. But I would have to answer United States if you have to go against a right. How is that your fair right to a trial to have to compete with a robot that can intake more information and spit it out faster than you can? It's like, I object. You know, it's every time you say something like, man, where did you find that case from? You know what I'm saying?
It looks like you have to lie.
Yeah, y'all giving me shit. You guys forget I'm a writer. Y'all just giving me shit to write about now. I'm like, I got Louis Cognier, you were saying, you asked me?
Was that article with China?
Yes.
Well, in China, they got cameras everywhere where they're digitizing everybody's face, and they got a thing called a credit score. So they whole judicial system is AI being implemented and everything. They're just it's more of a techno-Marxist society right now, what China's implementing.
That's why Kanye dresses like that. He's always in a full body condom.
Yeah.
You notice that?
That's
always,
true.
even in the summertime, he's always had to toe. He has his wife in a full body condom. He knows. Kanye knows.
He gets it. That's the plan, Jen. That's it. We're finally coming. It's coming together. His plan is coming.
The master plan. His master plan.
You know,
so this is going to. Okay.
No, I was about to say, like here in America, AI isn't a lot of stuff. Like they're getting rid of practically your secretarial work. When you call in to anybody, it's either someone from India or you talking to a robot with an English accent. And where I work at, I run a supermarket. We're about to go full-fledged total automation on the front end. There's going to be no cashiers. And some of our sister stores where you got the price tags, everything will be digital tags, and everything is going to be put in through a signal where it'll just show the prices, and it's going to eliminate a lot of jobs where you have the people changing the price tags. And they're going to use AI now to get rid of a lot of so-called useless jobs, and you could put that manpower into things that's more important.
But then you're going to have to. But then you're going to. Then you're going to have to implement lasers at the door because you're going to increase loss. I mean, the loss. People just going to walk in and grab shit and walk out. They're doing it now. So if there's no one there to man the store, there's no security. What's going to stop people from going there, filling a cart, and walking out? They do it with security at the door.
Well, in China, they have
lasers. You got to have lasers in the front now, like Tomb Raider.
And maybe like I said, now laser burn the neck. That shit will go right through your goddamn neck and decapitate you. You run out there.
Electric fences and shit. I just wanted Oreos.
but just think how crazy that is.
I'm going to give you a little.
One of my favorite movies is Minority Report. One of my favorite movies.
I was just about to say, China already has that. They already have that. They already do the thing where they.
One second. The thing about Minority Report that, we brought the question was that here you have these people who are being, accused and tried for a crime that they didn't technically do.
Right.
But the idea was we can lower the crime rate down if we kind of just head it off at the pass. Now, it's amazing because in a way, this is the brilliance of the film. You kind of see the point of what they're saying until it happens to Tom Cruise. And Tom Cruise, in a way, is disguised as the audience. He's the protagonist. In many ways, the protagonist is the audience. They relate to him. Now, he's in a situation where he hasn't committed a crime. And now they're on his ass. And he's like, wait, I don't even know these people that's just setting me up. What the fuck is going on? And then he goes through the rigmarole of that. But the whole point of it is this. There's that nuance that the technology couldn't hone in on. It was just this binary sense where it's like, okay, he's about to do something. All right, snatch him up, grab him up, and throw him in jail. But until it happens to you and you realize that, wait, there's some gray areas in this, now you're realizing that, okay, this technology really doesn't need to happen.
So speaking of gray areas, can gray areas be a good thing? Mother of Prep's comment is right on time with the next section of my article. Mother of Prep says, I'm not sure AI court systems would be bad for people of color in the US. We have clear bias with human judges and lawyers. Maybe this can limit that to some extent. And then the next piece in the article says, however, Ziyu Lee, an assistant professor in law and policy at Durham University, said there are ethical issues presented by using AI to assist with more complicated legal decisions in cases where a decision made based on AI calculations might be deemed more credible than a decision made by a human. Do you think that human beings have more bias than the AI? Because that's a fucking movie for your ass.
Well,
But
here's
the
the
AI
thing.
learns from humans.
Well, I can understand that person's statement.
Mm-hmm.
And I can understand why people of color might think that, it might be used as a weapon, because I'm just going to come out and say it. Black people just tend to live in a constant state of perpetual fucking fear in America. They're afraid of medicine. They're afraid of fucking cabs. They're afraid of technology. They're afraid of schools. They're afraid. Well, I ain't touching that. I ain't, you know what I mean? I ain't going out of safari. Nah, I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? Everything with our people is, I ain't doing that. I ain't doing that. You ain't gonna catch me doing that. Nah, I'm staying home. You know what I mean? And you find that even if there's something that really is intentionally something that practically moves society, because me personally, look, folks, I don't think the robots are coming. I don't think. I don't.
They're coming, Ron. They're coming. They're gonna lock me up for a speeding ticket.
Okay. Do I think that there's corruption down the line? Absolutely. You know why there's corruption down the line? Because, well, there's still people alive. Now, you know what I mean? Now, do I think that there are going to be, a number of ups in this situation? Absolutely. There's going to be new jobs created out of these situations. Things don't just exist in a vacuum. You can't just pull some shit out, you know what I mean, and nothing replace it. There's no more typewriters because, well, we have word processors. And the word processor was replaced essentially by, a laptop. Most people don't use desktops anymore, and so on and so forth. So any problem that's fixed is replaced with another problem that needs to be fixed. I'll pass the mic on that.
Well, can I say something, Jen? I'll tell you what AI might harm people of color, and it's like this. I've been out of high school for over 20 years, and I went to school in the city of Newark. But I knew from friends who went to high school in the suburbs, they already had computer labs, and most of their schoolwork was done with computers, and they were already pushing to STEM. The only thing I see is people that go to school, they get their public school education in a city where it's low funding, and that school is not introducing the children into STEM at an early age where you got that early adaptation, compared to people that probably is in the suburbs where they have their property taxes that's heavily funding their school system, and those students are introduced into that, and those are the ones that's most likely to get these jobs into these technological fields, and they'll be the ones that benefit from it. Like, look at me. I remember my mother didn't even know how to program the clock on the VCR. She was totally technologically illiterate. And my son is 13 years old, and he can maneuver his way around computers better than I can. So I think where it will affect people of color if they're not introduced at an early age, where they have that love and passion and want to get into that. I think that's the only way it will harm us. But a technological boogeyman coming after us, like Iran said, I don't see that happening.
So
Right
the article. So the article goes on to say, while judges and prosecutors have the liberty to ignore or reject these suggestions for criminal punishments, we don't know if it may nonetheless sway their decision-making unconsciously due to cognitive biases. Around the world, AI-based solutions are mostly used to optimize legal databases and make them more accessible for both professionals and the public. I did find this interesting. In Canada, the negotiation app Smart Settle One managed to resolve a 3-month dispute over unpaid fees in less than 1 hour. The parties had to move flags on a screen to indicate the possible space for compromise. Then the application used bidding tactics to nudge the stakeholders into settlement without revealing their secret bids, done in 1 hour. So, although humans have biases and humans teach the computers, if the computer is just programmed to say, ba, 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 what you got, calculation, let's go, then it's different than a judge or an attorney who doesn't like Black people or doesn't like immigrants. You know what I mean? So, I
I
mean,
could
there's
definitely see that.
pros and cons, I think, but ultimately, which do you think would be better? And Haran, I know you want to say something. I interrupted you.
I just want to rattle off some data so we can get into some stats real quick. Computer science demographics by race. The most common ethnicity amongst computer scientists is white, which makes up about 64.2% of all computer scientists. I'm going to drop this in the private chat, by the way, and the main chat. Just give me a second. There you guys go. Which makes up about 64.2% of all computer scientists. Comparatively, 18.8% of computer scientists are Asian, and 6.9% of computer scientists are Hispanic or Latino. Within this space, you can see that Black or African American people are 4.2%. I'm going to also rattle off some other stats. A third of minority students leave STEM majors. I just also want to put it out there. I'll put it out there that computer science is one of the top majors that people drop. People never finish. But anyway, those students of all races enter STEM majors at roughly equal rates. Black and Latino students leave the major at nearly twice the rate of white students. This is the result of a combination of students changing majors and students choosing to leave college. More than a third of Black, 40%, and Latino, 37% students switch majors before earning a degree, compared with 29% of white STEM students. Another 26% of Black STEM students and 20% of Latino STEM students drop out of college either altogether, and 17% points, 13 and 7 points higher, respectively, than white STEM students. So why do Black and Latino students leave STEM majors at nearly twice the rate of white students? If there's a demonstrated strong interest in STEM among Black and Latino youth, why would you see higher departure rates of these students? Asks Reed Crum. It's not about interest or academic ability. So what causes this? I'm going to read you an excerpt from someone who was a a Black person, I'm assuming, was a former chemical engineering major. This person said, I spent too much time in my head feeling like I didn't belong or wasn't smart enough, that I couldn't concentrate on my work. Now let's open that for a second. Let's unpack that for a moment. I've often said on this panel that there is for quite some time there was a culture of anti-intellectualism in the community. There are inferiority complexes that a lot of Black people are dealing with, even in the corporate world, that they don't want to discuss. Imposter syndrome, so on and so forth. And I have a huge issue with the fact that a number of Black people, they're just believing this hype, or they're just believing these ideas that they just aren't good enough, period, or just aren't good enough, outside of spaces like entertainment or sports or any kind of physical labor or so on and so forth. When it comes to intellectual pursuits or anything dealing with non-physical labor, they just feel as if they just can't cut it. And we're not discussing that. We're not discussing how that impacts how many of us actually make it into Google, actually make it into Apple. Right now, Google is offering, you can look this up. Right now, Google is offering they offer free classes and free courses for Python. Ironically, Python is the main language that's used to create AI software. Now, also in the education world, what I'm seeing is that quite often parents and the educational system are binding the hands of the educators. And a lot of times these educators are trying to put the self-esteem, increase the self-esteem necessary for these kids to actually prepare themselves for this world, to actually pursue, a great life for themselves. But most of the time they're just busy, trying to do their job or just trying to not fight physically with a motherfucker. So there's just so many things that are keeping Black people, self-inflicted issues that are keeping Black people from actually, being in these spaces. Yes, it's self-inflicted because, look, I started in a time, I'm about 20 years into being a software engineer. I know what it is. Okay, I started at a time when it was, when MySpace was popping. Maybe I heard about it the second week. MySpace was fucking popping. Okay, now I started in a world where I was literally the only Black person on the floor. You think I didn't experience racism? You didn't think I didn't experience people, in questioning my intelligence, my ability? No, of course. But you see, I have a fuck it, sense inside of me. Because in my mind, I was like, y'all not gonna kill me. I'm gonna kill y'all. Or I'm gonna just take all of us down with us. You know what I mean? And you have to be able to have that. You have to be able to stand firm. You have to be able to believe in yourself. Because if you can't believe in yourself, if that shakes you, you can't be the person that they call 3 a.m. when the fucking system is burning down. And you're supposed to be the software engineer. You're supposed to be the guy who solves the problem. And they ask you, yeah, what do we do? How do we fucking fix it? But you can't fix it because you're rattled because there's too many white people in the goddamn room.
Hey, Haran, I got a question for you. Sorry to interrupt. Do you think most of this also comes from home, where
Absolutely.
the parents don't push the child?
Absolutely. We don't look, man, let's just call it what it is. We don't push our intellectually gifted. We don't. Look, you know what I mean? I've had more avenues in my life where, built the way that I am, more people have tried to get me into fucking football than actually into a fucking, academic space, man.
Because at my son's school, for instance, me and my wife, we're always at the school, the parent-teachers conferences, and more so with my wife, she's also always volunteering there at the school. And unfortunately, I don't see too many of us that even bother to pick up the freaking their child's report card. They have like no interest whatsoever. And to them, like a lot of these people, let's be for real, all the school is a de facto babysitter for them to get the kid out their hair for a couple hours out of the day.
Can I, Lord, okay, this is about to be a debate. I totally disagree on a lot of stuff. Okay.
We love a good debate.
Look, I work in the school system, right? And like I told y'all, it's 10% that just kind of burned out. Mental health is an issue and it starts young. Okay. It starts so young. I see kids all day being called stupid by adults that they're supposed to look up to. That affects their head. A lot of kids have my son has a learning disability, but is a straight A student. He plays football, yes, but he's a straight A student and he's in college. You know what I'm saying? I see kids being told that they're nothing. I see kids interacting or acting out because they don't know how to address it. They don't know how to learn. I had that issue. My mother had that issue. But I see kids and I'd be like, can you read? Like, I pull them to the side and ask them, and they can't, but they're scared to say something because you have adults calling them dumb. And yes, a lot does have to do with the parents. Like he said, his wife volunteers. We don't have parents coming in volunteering like they used to. Why? Because a lot of schools get into their business. Why your kid don't have a uniform? Because they can't afford it. Uniforms goes up, during the school year. They can't afford it, and they don't want to come and tell the school, well, I can't afford it, because now you got social service looking at them like, well, why can't you afford it? It's such a disconnect. And I really don't think people just growing up saying, because I'm Black, I don't feel like I could do it. It's been fed to them that they cannot do it. Now, I get it. We don't have to have that mentality. I was a 15-year-old teen mom. And I remember my aunt told me, only thing you're going to do is sell your body. And I said, ma'am, not me. Like, that's not going to happen. So I did what I need to do to make sure I'm going to make you out a lie because you're not going to tell me. And I love my aunt to death. Don't get me wrong, but it's just where the town I'm from, that's normal to kind of shake you up. But I was like, nah, I'm going to be everything. And I went to college and I finished my degree. And when I keep saying mental health is issue, I see kids just devastated from what adults say to them, and they be like, "What? Well, Miss Sally, what can I do? Advocate for yourself. Don't let people tell you that you're dumb." I have a girl that she's originally from France, and she came to school there, but she's been there for a while. She's super smart. Only student I could give something, she could read it, put it to the side. 2 days later, she could tell you exactly what it is. Never seen nothing like that in my life for a 13-year-old. But a grown woman basically told her character was fucked up because she was friends with someone that was in her neighborhood. And she cried over this. Like they was like, you don't need to be student president. You hang around with the wrong people. But how can she help who's in her community? So they started pulling her from programs that she could have been a part of to help her. You see what I'm saying? So we got to take accountability all around, but I can't just say people walking around saying, well, because I'm black or I'm in the room with all these white people, put me in a room full of white people, baby. I'm going to shine when I walk through the door. I'm going to let you know who I am, where I came from. If you never heard of the town Walterboro, South Carolina, you'll know it before I leave that room. But we can't put that on everybody because we don't know what everybody's circumstance and their mental state is on. And I just can't sit back and say, I agree with that, because I don't. I really think people want better until it takes one person to sit down in a room with 5 people and tell them something different. We probably teaching what people on this live things that they didn't even think about. We have to say, we can't keep knocking each other in the head. We got to try. We got to try to give and say, you can do that. If you could get on social media and do this all day, oh, you could figure out how to work a computer. Because I call my daughter all the time, Melody, change this on the DVR for me because I have no idea how to do it. She'll come and be like, come on, Mom, we'll figure this together. My mom just learned how to start texting. And it just took me and my daughter just going over and over and over and over. We have to be willing to teach each other. We have to. Because if not, we're going to keep saying, oh, they don't want it. No, people really want it. I talk to drug dealers, be like, crypto? What's that? Oh, my God, I never heard of that. I'm like, man, why are you selling drugs in the street when it's going to be free in the store in a minute? Like, go to the gas station, you get weed. Make yourself do something else because it's going to take this job away from you. And they want to learn. But if you keep saying, oh, you're just a drug dealer, you don't want nothing for yourself, we got to stop telling people stories when we don't even know it.
Okay, so before Haran brings out the firing squad to kill all the degenerates, I want to thank This Might Be Risky. Thank you. This Might Be Risky for the super chat. This Might Be Risky says, need these baby boomer old Gen X judges to age out. Thank you so much. Haran, rebut.
Dolores, respectfully, I understand what you're saying, and yes, I'm very confident that if you're in a room full of white people, you could handle your own. However, you are able to do that because you obviously have a strong sense of self. You obviously, a person who I said you have to have that take no shit situation embedded in you in order to do that. You are going into a lion's den. There is no fairness in a fucking lion's den. Okay.
Oh, I know.
This is their house. This is their rules. This is their shit. You know what I mean? At best, you got a motherfucking Swiss Army knife, and they throw you in there. You know what I mean? And tell you good luck. Okay, and that is what it is. Now, the stone cold truth is, we are at a point right now in our society where we have to admit that either you gonna get down or you gonna lay down. And our children have to be prepared for what's next. And these parents, some of these parents are going to get it, and some of these parents aren't. And the parents that don't get it, that don't get involved in their children's grooming, that don't help these teachers out, that don't head the bullshit off in the past, when they go out there, when their kid goes out in the world, that kid's going to be fooled. And it is what it is. That ain't my problem. My kid ain't going to be fooled, though. You know what I mean? We have to get to a point where, look, this is the concept of a problem. Every problem has a clock on it. That's the problem that most people don't understand. Every problem has a clock on it when it comes to a solution. There comes a point in time when you cross a particular line where the solution becomes more complex than the problem itself. And you got to deal with the fact that there's going to be collateral damage in order to get this shit done. Now, the collateral damage in this particular situation are going to be those motherfucking kids with the parents who ain't shit, who ain't getting involved, who ain't doing whatever. And it is what it is, baby. Everybody ain't going to get saved. And it's not our problem. See, respectfully, this is the problem that, ladies and gentlemen, this is the problem that women have. Okay? Women want to, because it's matriarchal.
I guess we're about to get shot up too.
I get it. Y'all want to make sure all the babies that, you know what I mean? Y'all got to make sure men.
Tim went to get her gun.
Okay, everybody ain't gonna make it. Do we got our favorites on the boat? Do we got the ones we could use on the boat? All right, Jim, start the button. We leaving.
And I totally agree. You can, you could take them to the water, but you can't make them drink. I get that.
Like,
but there's some people.
Let's just look at it for a particular situation. Okay, you got a young man. He's raising up. We've seen this time and time again when the father's in the home, and Jen, I'm sure she's seen this and she can attest to it. You know what I mean? The boy, he reaches a certain age, 17, 18, especially if he's 18, the mother's like, oh, my baby, oh, my God, this is growing up to be a man. Father pulls him to the corner and said, like, so, yeah, what's the plan, youngster? You 18 now. What's next? Oh, I really ain't thinking about, oh, well, you're going to have to think about it because you ain't going to be in my house. You ain't going to be in my house forever. So your mama love you. You're going to be her baby until you're 45, 50, whatever the fuck. This is my house. This is my woman. You a grown ass man.
I think I lost that mother instinct because I told my kids when they was 13, I'm 18, you got to have a plan. You got to go. Like you cannot be here. You got to go. I was just telling Lily, I have 4 kids. Okay. 26, 23, 18 and 16. My 23-year-old, I love him to death. He's going to be a football coach. He doesn't want to play on the field. He wants to teach. He trained under Deion Sanders, but his mind thinking is totally different. And I remember one day I told him, as your parent, it's my responsibility to let you know this world is crazy. So either I chew your ass out now or the water's going to chew your ass out later. This shit gets real, He still didn't get it. You know what I'm saying? So now I got to let the world slap him in the face. But then he's going to look back and say, my mama told me so. So I was different with my kids. I was so glad for him to go. Like my son left like a month ago. I done cleaned the whole room out, then changed it around. Like, gotta go. I don't want you here. I want you to go in the world. I want you to figure it out. I want you to travel the world. You don't have to live in the United States. My daughter will go to Paris. Bye. I'll take a flight and see you. Experience life, learn, always advocate for yourself. I'm that parent and I'm that in the school. And I think that's why God put me there because Lord knows I was like, I ain't watching nobody kids, but I think he put me there for that reason. Like my purpose led me to a school that I didn't even want to be in, just because I was bored. And I told these kids that, and I'm not saying it's my responsibility, but if someone taught me that, why can't I teach it to someone else? It's like everything that you learn, someone taught to you. Why can't I teach it to someone else? Because it's not their fault that their parents are assholes. But somebody got to break something in there.
So I wanna throw a little sazon and adobo in between the debate between Dolores and Haran. Because I hear this, and we spoke about this before, Haran, I think. I hear a lot. I hear this parroted a lot, but we have to help the community. We got to do it because the community is this, and we got the short end of the stick, and we, right? But then I'm from the school of Jay-Z. Less is more. There's plenty of us, right? There's constant concentration on the the people that disenfranchised. We got to help. We got to go back to the community. As honestly, as controversial as it sounds, is what has the community so far behind, in my opinion. Right? If you only deal with the strongest, the best, and the fastest, I believe you get further than having one foot here saying, "Oh, the old is me with the violin," and then one foot here, we the baddest motherfuckers on the planet. You can't go that way with this much weight on you. The best thing you could do for poor people is not be one yourself. Hands down. That is true. So when I think of helping other people, I'm like, no, Jen has to be 6-7 figures before I even turn back and be like, oh, but my niece and my son, oh, if I just help that Puerto Rican girl over there, because somebody told me that, she's gonna slow me down. I have nothing for her unless I can change her entire life. Now the violin of, hey sis, you ain't got to do this, you ain't got to have 4 or 5 kids, that's all well and good, but if I'm not in a position where I can actually put her in a program and give her money and make her, what is the point? It's weighing the community down, in my opinion. So I have to go back to what Jay said, because people are like, well, it's not a lot of us, Jay. No, less is more. There's plenty of us, right? Now Jay-Z is in a position where they're Beyonce and Kelly, they're building buildings for homeless people. Jay-Z is putting kids through college. However, he did that only because he told the community, fuck you first. That is how Jay-Z got there. He told everybody, fuck you first. He even said, it's not that I'm arrogant, it's that I don't want to talk about stupid shit. Because people that talk about stupid shit, they lag behind. So I keep hearing this communita thing, right? It's like, no, we got it. And I really do think that is what has the community idle. I'm sorry. I think that's what has the community idle. All these bleeding hearts, all these bleeding, no, we got to help because somebody taught me. No, I feel like the people, in my opinion, that are worthy are the ones that are seeking help to begin with. Those are the people I like helping.
So Jen, to your point, that is my experience, right? I was and still am. I'm naturally the bleeding heart, but I've learned how to direct my energy in a better place, because I'm gonna tell you, all I was doing was creating codependent friendships, mentorships, relationships, right? Because I was dealing with people who just didn't want what I thought they should have. Back to that infamous bad word that I do not like so much, potential, right? I'm that person that just can see that untapped potential, and I'm like, oh, they're the best cook in the world. Oh my God, this food is so good. You should start a food truck. Oh my God, those paintings are so awesome. And they're just like, nah, I'd rather do what I've been doing, right? I'm good. I'm totally good with what I've been doing. And so I wasted time, energy, money, patience, and created codependency, right? No one benefited. When I do things, I always ask, does everyone benefit? Like when I'm doing stuff in groups and with people, individuals and stuff like that. If the answer is no, there's a problem with the equation, right? So, and that's what I've learned. And since then, I haven't been wasting time, energy, money, or anything. And the people that I do help are the ones that I already see invested in themselves. And it's been a beautiful thing to watch them grow and go on and fly and all that other stuff, because they already had an independent spirit before I came along. They weren't sitting around waiting for someone to come save them. No, they was out already trying to save themselves. So
I agree with you. When it comes to adults, I do not want to sit here and as run the business. I have people call me like, girl, how you start your website? How you did this? How you did that? First you paid me for consultation, non-refundable. And then I'm going to charge you again for an hour because I'm a marketing person. You give me an idea, I'm going to give you a whole commercial, billboard, marketing plan. It just comes to me naturally, but you're not going to get that for free. Why? Because entrepreneurship, no one helped me and my husband. It was like, get it the way you get it. So when it comes to adults, I'm not going to baby them. I'm not going to just help you because I did that in my 20s. I invested in people, and Lord, it was a very bad decision. Because when you about to go homeless, they move and you stuck. I've been there. But when it get kids, I'm totally different. And again, it is my nurturing nature. I'm a nurturer. I'm sorry. I want to love everybody, but I could be an asshole too. And I could play both fields. So you could come and ask me for help, and it's going to be like, sure, what kind of help? But if it's something that's going to take away my time, you're going to have to pay me. I need to get paid for my time, especially if I'm not benefiting. You're just taking my ideas and running with it. So I agree with that. I'm just a little different when it comes to the kids. And I have kids that I've cutting off. You got kicked out of school. Stop being kicked out of school. Why are you doing that? Selling drugs. Clearly, you're not a good drug dealer because you keep getting caught. Stop doing it. And if they keep doing it, I'd be like, don't ask me for help no more. Like, don't ask me because you keep doing the same thing. So you're going to have to learn another way.
I think honestly, look, everybody done, I guess with the exception of No Saint, everybody that came from the hood on this goddamn, panel. Okay, we done been around,
Shout out to the hood.
Was that racist or was that observation?
Racist.
That was an observation. Based on the data that I was given by No Saint. Anyway, so the thing about it is that, above average or exceptional black children, black people, a lot of times what they're up against, most of the time it ain't even white people, man. It's up against the concepts in the community that cling to humility, suffering in silence, and survivor's guilt. These things that everybody in the community throws on you because guess what? No, you can't leave. You can't fly. You got to be with us. And this motherfucker ain't going nowhere. You know deep down, but there's that guilt. There's that thing that hold it. No, you got to be humble. You can't shine. You're too bright. No, and that starts gnawing at your self-esteem, and then you start getting into battles with your inner self because the other self is like, man, fuck these motherfuckers. But then the other side is like, no, I don't want to make anyone feel bad. And we're like, we all know this. Come on, how many fucking literal geniuses do we know in prison right now? Literal.
Yeah.
You know what I hate? That people pick and choose when to bring up white people, right? Let's say if it's a Bill Cosby, right? For lack of a better explanation, Bill Cosby. Yeah, but look at Weinstein. Look at Weinstein, right? However, white people, they don't go back for the meth heads. They don't. White people don't get wealthy and go back to the trailer park and help all the M&Ms. They just don't. They just. Yeah. It just doesn't happen. They keep it pushing.
Eminem would have got his black friends and came back with his black friend.
Right. So it's like, this constant. Let's go back and let's go back. To me, it's enabling. I guess we're like the new AI. It's enabling. You know what I mean? It stunts your growth, in my opinion. I don't see the constant, the incessant need to, and it's what you said, Haran, this survivor's guilt. And all they do is destroy you. When you look at all the guys that were helping, whether they were in the entertainment or rap or whatever, they got killed where? In their hood. In their neighborhoods, going back to the hood to keep it real. I still got to go to that bodega, that blah, blah. I still got to go, get my t-shirts at this thing. And I got to go back and buy back the block. And then they get killed or they get set up. There's so much hate and animosity for the people that got out. So it's stupid, in my opinion, to go back. So if you're comparing yourself to, what about Weinstein? Why don't you compare yourself to the white people that got the fuck out, made them something from themselves, and didn't go running back to get the meth heads? Because the meth heads, if they just had somebody to tell them they could do it, the meth heads would stop smoking meth. White people don't talk like that. So if you do want to take out a page out of their book because that's your standard, because a lot of people, white people do it. If that's your standard, then why don't you use the standard of why they're fucking successful? No Saint, when are you going back to the meth park to save the children? Because save the children that are born to meth users. Let me know. I want to know so I can put on the calendar.
Yeah. No.
We have no plans?
No. But I think it's very unfair. I've heard this, my whole life, of the athletes or the entertainers or someone who makes it, entrepreneur. They forgot where they came from. I would hope the hell they did forget where they came from.
Stay humble.
Because I wouldn't want to remember some of those places for sure. I think it's unfair, though. I think it's an unfair expectation that the community puts on those people because, as Haran says, you can go back and do all the things that you want to do. You think's going to help them, but inevitably it comes back on the individual, and a lot of people are not going to take that, especially when it's given to them. It's like giving something to a kid. They don't understand what it takes to actually progress in whatever they're going to do. So when you come back and, try to bring people out of the hood, other than education, I think that's a great thing. But to sit there and say that someone is a sellout or is somehow, that's an unfair burden put on people.
I mean, it's repulsive every time I see so, and I know, and you can see this in the comments all the time. What's her name? Angel Reese, LSU basketball star, whatever. No one was thinking about that girl till this happened, right? Nobody was thinking about her, and then all hell broke loose. So I go over there to her comments, and now there's just a slew of people. Stay humble, stay humble,
Oh,
getting a lot of attention. That who the fuck who says this to white people? Who says this to white people? Who tells white people you hit a home run, stay humble, don't
Or
forget where you came from? What the
or I'll say this: who says it to? There are people. Listen, yeah, definitely, it's worse on black people, but even males. I was mentioning this to Jen, that it was a reminder. The baseball team won the national championship, as some of you know on the panel, and when they were in the ninth inning and they were up by 15 runs, they started pointing to their ring finger. Now, and then I remember, like, they showed a picture of Joe Burrow in 2019 after the football team won the national championship, pointing to his finger as he was coming off the field. Yet none of that, and there were black baseball players doing it on the baseball team, yet none of that even grabbed attention. I think the only difference I could say was she did it and was trying to get the attention of the Bird girl, whatever, the woman, Larry Bird, or whoever that's supposed to be for Iowa.
so she was messing with a white woman.
White woman.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Especially not the the great white
and that's
female
only
basketball
because
hope.
right, and then only because the white girl did it prior, though.
Yeah, she did it to somebody
them.
else. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
So
yeah.
she was just returning the favor. But that's
same-
another thing that
Angie.
we have to, that whole community thing, I'm telling you, it to me, it's the downfall. It's what keeps people stagnant. It's just it's BS, because like you were saying, No Saint, with the athlete, I would think, instead of like, don't forget us, don't forget where you came from, because I've heard that before too. I've been called
Oh
Hollywood.
God, yes.
I'm like, all I did was throw on some kitten heels, a suit, you know what I mean, a dress suit, and
Put on some
and
lipstick.
and a little purse, and go down to my little corporate job, you know what I mean, in Avenue of the Americas, and I'm getting off the train on the Fortune. Oh, look at you, Miss Hollywood. I just suck
Don't get the big
job.
head.
Right. I'm like,
Don't.
I'm just working 9 to 5.
That's-
So, my demeanor for years in the corporate world, one of the things that was attached to me was that I was the angry black man, and
For saying good morning. Did you say good morning?
sometimes I didn't. Well, a lot of times I didn't. But anyway,
But aren't you the angry black man, Haran? Haven't you been
On here too? On here, like we do racial profiling on here too.
I like to think of myself as the stoic black man, the concerned black man. I will say assertively concerned rather than angry. Anyway,
Okay.
White arrogance is often seen as confidence, while black confidence is often seen as arrogance. Okay, I was at, and on one of my teams, software teams, it was this white dude. I mean, this dude was a fucking asshole. He was a piece of shit. One of my best friends, though. He was this white dude. He was a fucking asshole. But I'd be damned if they didn't let that motherfucker get away with murder half the fucking time. You know what I mean? And anytime they'd ever have a problem with my demeanor, I would just look at them like, I don't give a fuck. Because at the end of the day, it's about me actually doing my job. Now here it is. Now there was another guy who was also arrogant, but he was a complete idiot. He was a white dude, and he was the average mediocre white man in corporate America who just yells and points his finger and throws out buzzwords, and everybody just thinks that he knows what the fuck he's talking about. But anyway, I say this to say,
I think No Saint knows that guy.
I say this to say, Jen and I have had a number of discussions. She and I have some very deep and complex discussions. And there was one particular discussion that made me question my own self. It made me question some things. And I said to myself, okay, I'm contributing to these STEM programs for inner city kids. I'm going back for these inner city kids and so on and whatever. Because in many ways, in my mind, as a kid who was like me and he needed certain opportunities, that I didn't have in order to get to where, just to get a leg up. But then I asked myself one time, well, if the kid was like me, that kid will always find a way. So is it really about me helping that kid, or is it about me actually soothing some guilt?
Ooh,
I really began to look at myself for a second, like, because if that kid is like me, that kid is just going to find a way, because that's me. It's like, no, this is something by any means, and we know people like that.
Ooh, Haran, that's a deep
like
one.
that.
That's a deep one even for me, because I lived by be the person you needed for so many years. But you're absolutely right. I didn't have the person I needed, and I had to get myself the fuck up out of there on my own, because I didn't have the person I needed. But then you grow up with that guilt, and you're like, no, I don't want to see anyone go through this. So be the person you needed. But the person I needed wasn't fucking there. The person I needed wasn't there.
Right.
Well, I want to add, listen, I know it's a little bit later in the conversation, but I'm sorry, the new person on the panel. Dolores.
He said the new person.
Yes. Sorry, your name's not up there when I needed it.
There it goes.
It takes me a little while. It takes me a little while to figure out.
Don't feel bad. I'm horrible with names too. That's why everybody sweetie, baby, darling, and honey.
But she made some great points. You know, when I was growing up and going to elementary school, I got put in, I don't know if I ever told this story before or not, but I got put in like a second, third grade, fourth grade. I got put into like the remedial, not the resource class. It was called resource. I don't know if they still call it that anymore. It wasn't special. It wasn't special ed. It wasn't like full blown special ed, but like a couple hours a day you would go into this class and because you were behind. And I think I told you about my reading. I knew I could read when I started reading the sports section later on in life, that it wasn't a comprehension, it was an interest. But that, at a young age, the way they did it back then told you that in a not purposeful way, but made you feel like, oh shoot, I'm stupid. They're even at that young age, like, I'm dumb, I can't do this. And for some people, like what Haran's saying, some people will push through. Other people, such as myself, will fall back because you don't want to face that failure. It's more scary to face failure than it is to even try. So what happened to me was, all the way until I got probably to the 9th or 10th grade, and things started to click more for me, and I had to, but it had a profound view on the way I felt about if I were smart or not. And it set me back, but I mean, I recovered. It did set me back. I mean, I could have, I didn't automatically go to college. Didn't think I could. I did 2 extra years in school, high school. Some of that was, though, my choice, because I didn't think I could do it. So I just didn't try. You know what I mean? But I'll never forget. It does. It like what Dolores. I think Dolores said she had something similar like that happen. I don't know if that's. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but like for me, so when my oldest son was all the way for like pre-kindergarten, the teacher was telling us he doesn't follow 2-step directions. You got to watch, and I could never tell, because they said he grasps things so fast and learns. Once he learns it, he knows it. So all the way even to the 4th grade, I had a special ed teacher for saying he's going to have to be in a special class. And then from that day on, he was in honors classes, and he's been in honors ever since. He has. But I knew how to handle things differently, and they do it different today, thankfully. They don't just put you in a special class.
Right.
They
have extra teachers around you and things like that, making sure they don't make you feel ostracized. You know what I mean? But why am I bringing this up? I think that there are certain people, like Haran said himself, that could push through things because he has that personality. But from what Dolores is saying, I understand where she's coming from, and I'm glad there are people like Dolores as well who think that there are other kids. Maybe there are some that are going to fall behind and never do it, but there are certain kids that need to be guided, because they may fall back, they may not get the confidence, they may and if she can push that student in the right direction, he may accelerate, which is what happened to me. I eventually got my footing and, found, what I like to do, and then once I figured out, and started reading a lot more. Once I figured out, hey, I'm okay. That system of school didn't fit the way I learned, because it's a one size fits
I
all in
feel that
school,
way.
and not
Yes.
everybody can learn that way. Yet
No
people
saying.
feel dumb. Yeah.
It's actually a one
totally
system.
feel you. I totally feel you on that. I felt like you literally are telling my story. I felt that I was bored as fuck.
Yeah.
Right. I felt that but it took me into adulthood to find out that, because I felt the whole time this is dumb. I feel like they're dumbing me down. Like I really feel like they're dumbing me down, because that system, that way of learning does not fit me. Come to find out, I'm one of the biggest nerds out here, right? So that can do something to you, because it did do something to me. It really did. It really did make me question things. But turned out it was the opposite.
And it's always worse, because my oldest son was like my oldest sister. She was like really smart, right? And it's the gifted and talented. And here I am in a resource class thinking, son of a bitch, I must be stupid,
And the worst thing is,
and it was embarrassing. You tried to, like, I remember in junior high and beginning of high school, like sneaking into that class. I didn't want anybody to see me go in that class, because I knew what the kids that went to those classes had to face if they got, from the students making fun of them and things like that. So,
and that's really exactly what I was about to say.
No, go ahead.
I'm sorry. That's like, it's also, like you said, they don't separate them now, but they still label them. You feel me? They still label them and put them in certain class as smaller classes, supposed to have an extra teacher. So they're still labeled. I remember growing up and be like, God, please don't call me to read out loud. Please don't call me to read out loud. Dolores, can you read the next paragraph? Shit. Because now your friends knowing, girl, why you read so slow? I read backwards. Leave me alone, But at the same time, I'm the only one of those friends that, kind of did things with their lives. We're in a system that already divides them. And I know I can't change everybody, even though I wish I could. I'm too mean to change everybody. But if I could get one child, just one, to just listen, and they listen. Like, I don't, yes, ma'am, no, you're not going to yes me, yes, what? And I was told by someone in the school, administrator, I couldn't tell them they could say, I couldn't make them say yes, ma'am, or no, ma'am, because it was a culture difference. I was like, it's just respect. It was like, well, if a parent comes and, Asian or a Latino parent comes and I don't want them call this black woman making my son, what? I said, well, Asian lets their kids smoke, so we're going to walk around, let them smoke in school all day? Like, what you mean the cultural difference? I was so confused, but it's okay for them to curse, though. Because it's I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that on here.
Speaking for the Latinos, the ones that like me and the ones that don't like me, yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am is fine by me. Yes, sir, no, sir is more than fine by me. I actually have a friend, and when his sons come to visit, I mean, every word, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Doesn't matter what you're saying to them. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Miss this, misses that, miss this, miss that. You have to give them something. This is crazy. There's so much trauma that can be experienced in school. When I hear all these stories, I'm like, it really shapes you because you're so young going through this, right? Special ed, now you're special ed. Like, it's like, there's so many labels that are so damaging in schools. It's sad, but I'm with Lily. I got bored with school all my life. My report card, I mean, she's absent, but she's brilliant. If she was just to sit here, she's brilliant. She was just to sit here. And I was like, I'm bored. I don't want to sit here. So it's sad because it's not that you're dumb or stupid. It's just that you learn differently than those 50 kids in that class. You learn differently. And that's how I was. So I gravitated towards teachers who had a very creative way of teaching because I had to be entertained. You can't sit there and read from a book to me because I'm like, I already got that. I got that. What else do you have? I know that. So the higher I went in my grades, I was like, I'm done. I know how to count. I know how to read. I'm out of here. Them guys are making money. I'm going over there. How can you reach them when they're making more than the teachers, right?
Jen, what was hilarious years later, I'm talking about when I was an adult, like probably in my late 20s, My friend that I grew up across the street, I was at his house, and he brought out a yearbook from elementary school. Now, I wasn't in this picture because this was the special ed class, right? So I was never in like the special ed class, but I had tears coming down, laughing so hard because back in the 70s, like I said, it was different. They had special ed, and I swear whoever took this picture needs to go to hell, because the dude was like this. They were all like just weird pose. I was laughing because the picture was so bad, but not just that, they labeled it in a yearbook. I'm like, who in the hell are these people?
But that's how comfortable people are with labels. I will say this: in the little stint I did in high school, they did have a special ed class. I wasn't in special ed, but that's where I hung out with the teacher in there, because the teacher in there was so freaking creative. I always cut class, but I would go in there and hang out with him and kick it with him, me and my girlfriend. Special ed, those teachers have to be more creative. So they were more entertaining, to be around than the guy that's reading from the book, chapter 3, turn your pages to chapter. No, fuck, I want to go home. I'm fucking.
Y'all want to know what I used to do? This is crazy. I used to ditch school and go to Duke Ellington School of Arts.
Oh, wow.
And hang out there. I would ditch my school and go hanging in the School of Art. I would be there all day long, because it was just creative and it was fun. I didn't know then what I know now. It all makes sense now, right? But that's where I really belong, So.
That sounds like fun. I couldn't cut school. My mom was in the window like, you in that class? Like, cutting school was not the option. So I just dealt with it.
I remember one time my mom went to see me in school, and my guidance counselor was like, "Oh, you're here for Genesia? Hold on." He gets up, goes to the window. He was like, "Let me see," because she usually stands out there.
Listen, in terms of education, just to be clear, I was a horrible student until I needed to be, brilliant. It was just because the way things were, it was just like, I don't need to do this right now. I'll get to it in the fourth quarter and I'll make it happen. But I had to learn to stop doing that, because things needed to get done. However, I am a lover of knowledge and education, so on. And from my perspective, I do believe every person should at the very least, have a high school diploma. Now, college, I agree. College, it's like, I'm in full support of people just go finding a trade, go, working for the city after high school, go doing that. Because when it comes to college, it's like you're gonna do one of two things: either go for the experience, or go be a fucking doctor, or go be an engineer, or go be something else. If you're going to college to be, the major in philosophy, you're a fucking idiot. You know what I mean? Yeah. But anyway, the point of the matter is this. When it comes to education, I think that one size doesn't fit all. And just because somebody didn't finish this or finish that, it's not a direct reflection on their degree of intellect, because I done met plenty of dumb motherfucker in college and high-end college courses, people who just couldn't get.
I met plenty of people that I was like, how did you get a degree?
Because they know how to call and repeat. It's all about calling and repeat.
Okay, because I'm like,
that's where me and Haran differ. These dissertations are just that. Most of these dissertations that people, write up, they're just reflections of what the professor said during the school year. A lot of times, my papers were heavily graded with a strong arm, because I was quick to question the professor's perspective. I was quick to say, well, if you look at it from a broader perspective, aka a non-white perspective, you really don't know what you're talking about. And that got me in trouble a few times, in classrooms. But anyway, go ahead.
I think that's where Haran and I differ. He's like, everybody should at least have a high school diploma. I'm like, look, everybody should at least be in position to hire one of them motherfuckers. That's how I say it. If you're not going to get a high school diploma, make sure you put yourself in a position to hire someone who has a high school diploma or someone with a degree, because there are plenty of them out there. So I wanted to get to the last paragraph of is AI enabling racism and sexism before we close out. It's a short paragraph. It says, I think it's both a special Chinese and a universal problem to make the best use of AI and at the same time to ensure accountability. Even judges do not understand the mechanism of AI decision making because it is a black box. With AI, it will be so much more difficult for individual citizens to hold judges and government officials accountable. That's that.
That's deep.
Yeah. So I guess we are closing, ladies and gentlemen. Block, do we need to debrief or we good?
I'm good.
Everybody's good? Okay, good.
Can I say one thing though?
Absolutely,
about this AI?
Please.
We went back and forth with school and AI. But just think about it. We don't even know how to teach kids now, but we're gonna program a computer to eventually do the same thing.
That's the other half of it.
I'm just saying.
You just
well,
really
humans humans love to put the cart before the horse.
In the mortal words of the passport bros, get your passports.
Okay.
There's I have to echo Jen, you know what I mean, in this particular sense. You know, because me and her go back and forth with technology. Of course, I'm a big tech head and I like seeing all these cool things. The ideas in regards to AI and certain things need to pan out first. Like we're going too fast when it goes to when it comes to certain things. Like one of you people, just based on knowing human beings, one of you people are going to shoot your fucking dick off at one point in time. It's just what people do when we have too much technology and things are moving too fast. Somebody shoots their fucking foot off.
And greed.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, and here comes the lawsuits, here comes the regulations, and here comes everything. Because that's what happens with social media. What happened with social media? You remember it? This place was a lawless fucking town at one point in time.
Oh yeah.
There was no such thing as blocking a person or, you know what I mean, any of these situations. People could just say whatever the fuck they wanted to say, bully people, do whatever the fuck they wanted to do. And guess what happened? Someone died. A couple of people died. So there was like, okay, we need to regulate.
Well, a couple of people need to die.
Well, that's the other half. That's the other half of it. You know what I mean?
But the laws definitely have to change. Because imagine when, you know, a robot comes to someone and they shoot it. It's like now you got to go to jail for damaging government property. You know, so many laws are going to have to change when it's happening. Because someone's going to fuck up one of those robots. Because people mental state, you know, they're like, I watch our robot.
On this shit, you know
right.
what I'm saying?
I own you now, bitch.
Right. Put some gang shit on it, you know what I mean? You know, whatever.
So the laws are going to have to change, and then when the laws change, and then here's your political cycle. We need to save the robots. We need to get rid of the robots. It's just you're putting a Band-Aid on a problem that you're not even fixing.
Remember, can you write a symphony? Can you?
That
was the best line ever. I wrote
no, bitch, but I could cut you off though.
I can unplug you.
You present a very interesting thing because when you go into those situations, you know what comes next, right? Robot rights.
Well, they already got citizenship in Saudi Arabia and a couple other countries.
And
Can you imagine?
But how fair is that? How fair? They got citizenship?
Can you imagine Robot Pride? Like maybe the month of September, all the robots.
You know what? I can just see the black.
That can be the
black folks now. Be like, yo, man, motherfucking robots got more pride, motherfucking rights than us, man. Yo, man, this is some more bullshit, man. Some bullshit, man.
Like the sex dolls walking down.
Just add it.
The robot slut walk.
You android phobic. It's gonna be like its own sexual fucking fetish. It's gonna be
like its own
sexual shit.
Twerking robot. I can't.
Oh Lord! Here we go. Here we go. Let's get ready for the ride.
Hey, the guy in the. That's great that you listen to Tchaikovsky.
Tchaikovsky.
The cough
It's
spelled his
Tchaikovsky.
name wrong though.
All right.
Yeah.
See, look at
Russian
that. Look at that.
composer.
A high school
Russian
dropout knew
composer.
Tchaikovsky. Don't sleep. Don't
He,
sleep. Okay.
now he is one of the greatest, in my opinion, one of the greatest melodic writers in.
Yeah, he didn't get much respect when he was alive.
No, he did not.
Like most
Rick must be
innovators.
wrong.
Most innovators do not get
Well,
respect.
by other composers though, they
They were
yeah.
hating on him. They were hating on
Yeah.
him.
Anyway,
All right, guys. We
But
out
I
of here.
love you
Thank you
guys.
so
I
much.
love him.
Okay. You love who? Who is that?
Tchaikovsky.
Okay. So I'm just making sure the high school
my
graduates
bad,
are
I
on
didn't
point.
see the Y. I didn't see the Y in his name. He did.
I'm making sure that the high school
It's in
and college
there. It's in
graduates
there.
are on point. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We appreciate you. Thank you for holding us down, chat. Thank you for the super chats. Be here. Mañana, we will be with some more space. This is real interesting. We got to revisit this because AI is advancing. There's going to be a lot coming up. Yeah, it's going to be a lot coming up. Dolores, thank you so much for joining us again today. Even though this is not the top. Remember I said, you're going to be good for tomorrow's topic? It wasn't even this.
Yeah.
But look, turns out, voila, you were good for this one. So my bad. Right? My bad.
I'm
but you'll be-
versatile. I'm versatile.
Echo, hey, please do come back. You guys know the panel is open, long as you don't act the monkey as well. And then we got to get rid of you. So thank you, everybody. We will see you mañana. And talk to you later. Be good. And if you can't be good, be careful. Don't forget Cash App on the block with Jen if you want to help Mama keep the church lights on. And we will see you tomorrow. Good night.
Good night.
Hit that like and subscribe on your way out the door, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Good night.